Superman 1978. Batman 1989.
Hold on.
And this movie, Spider-Man 2002. Or Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. There have been so many successful superhero movies in the last 30 years. But the movies I listed up top were game changers. And they all propelled the genre forward. Superman was essentially the birth of the modern superhero. Batman showed us that comic book movies could be dark and have a more serious tone. And Spider-Man was the launching pad of the modern era of superhero movie. And of course there are a few movies that predate Spider-Man that could be given credit, or at least partial credit, for helping the superhero genre become what it is.
It's the day one. Physics.
But I was there, and even with the success of Superman and Batman, the genre never really took off until Spider-Man became huge on the big screen. It essentially hit public consciousness at the exact right moment. It was a moment where message boards and the internet were starting to affect box office returns in a real way. Finally, guys like myself who have never touched a female breast before finally had a way to reach out to movie studios and tell them what we actually wanted. And the movie studios were finally realizing that people that read comic books in huge numbers, they tend to spend a shit ton of money on useless crap like going to the movies and buying action figures and t-shirts. Mostly because they're not going on dates. And I'm guilty of that myself, so it wasn't a put down. I know my people. And movie studios finally realized that comic book movies don't just appeal to comic book nerds. Or they have a much wider appeal to most people. I mean, not everyone's into them, but quite a few people can watch them even if they're not into comic books. Welcome to a movie that has maybe aged a little in some ways. Plus, the sequel is superior in every facet. Plus, no offense to Macy Gray, but no Macy Gray in the sequel, so that's nice. I'm sure she's lovely in real life, but if they were going to have any musical artists in this movie, it definitely should have been Aerosmith, because they did the 90s theme song for the cartoon. And it's awesome. Or Rush, because Peter's definitely the kind of guy who loves Rush. I'm not trying to offend any Rush fans, but if there aren't any Rush fans listening to this right now, just go take a quick look in the mirror and answer me this one question. Are you a huge dork? And of course the answer is yes. Like I said earlier in the video, I know my people. But even with its weaknesses, fans like me will never find fault in this movie. I get it, I know some of you have beef with this movie for one reason or another. But for whatever reason you hate it, there is way more good in this movie than there is bad. And Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is essentially what Michael Keaton is to Batman. No matter who takes the role in the future, we will never see any of them as better or even close to being as good. Even if they're liked in the role, we just won't be able to ever accept them fully. Sorry, Tom Holland. You should have been cast as Spider-Man first, man. I don't know what to tell you. I don't care that you were only a child when the first movie was made. Don't be a fucking puss-ass bitch. Before I move on, I should also bring up that I watched Tim Burton's Batman recently, and that motherfucker's got some dust on it too, man. Like, still an awesome movie, but come on.
Lawrence!
But let's focus on the good things that happen in the comic book movies for this video. Most people are introduced to Peter Parker Spider-Man at a pretty young age, and the fact that he's just a teenager himself and goes through similar teenage problems that we all go through, that makes that motherfucker Peter Parker pretty relatable. I mean, Peter's life is not easy. He's poor, he's unpopular, and he's definitely not getting any love from the ladies. And that's all after he gets his spider powers. Yeah, Spider-Man is different from most heroes. You know, most heroes, they own their own home and have success with the ladies, but not our boy Spider-Man. Also, unlike most superheroes, Spider-Man can actually be grounded for missing curfew. Yeah, I don't remember that issue of Batman where Alfred grounded Batman, or gave him a spanking. Maybe you guys do, I don't. And even though Tobey Maguire is 26 in this movie, he still pulled off teenager well. I mean, at least until he got jacked and could see without his glasses. Yeah, he essentially went through puberty in a metaphorical way. I don't know if that was obvious to anyone else, but I don't know if they hit the nail on the head that hard. But besides hitting the nail on the head as hard as I could with the puberty thing, it's a good look in the teen life that isn't like Gossip Girl or the CW superhero shows that are more soap opera than anything. I guess I took the long way around saying that the movie is super relatable, especially when you realize that most people also have their best friend's dad eventually become one of their greatest enemies. Now the special effects have aged, but CGI was in its infancy back then. It's hard to hold that against the movie. Especially for the most part, it looks good. And honestly, the first time I watched this movie, it was a total rush, seeing how awesome Spider-Man was on the big screen finally. Holy fuck, man, it's hard to watch movies from this time period because most of the CGI looks like PS3 graphics that were just dropped in the middle of a major Hollywood movie. But it's not bad enough to ruin the experience for me, or other people apparently. Mostly because of the story, which is pretty standard, but they did it in such an awesome way that it's pretty original. The story is special to us Spider-Man fans, who've been waiting for a Spider-Man Green Goblin matchup for a very, very long time. So long. As someone who's read the first 300 issues of Amazing Spider-Man, I really want to see one of Spider-Man's most sinister, yeah that's right, I said it, one of Spider-Man's most sinister villains up on the big screen finally. And I wasn't disappointed. Yeah, Norman Osborn is definitely a piece of shit. He fucking killed Gwen Stacy in the comics, which was made even more tragic because Peter saved his life the last time they fought before the Gwen incident. Although he didn't quite stick at the Peter as hard in the movie, it was still close. Let's face facts, Willem Dafoe is terrifying on his best day. And here he was allowed to let loose while under the direction of the guy who made Evil Dead. So yeah, it was like kind of like a lot like a constellation of crazy things lining up and making like an amazing Spider-Man film. Spidey 2 is a better movie with a villain that's just as good, but man, the Goblin is awesome in a way it's hard to replicate. The new Spider-Man movie, Tom Holland didn't even try to replace him. I'm assuming the people that worked on the new Spider-Man movie watched the Raimi Spider-Man movie and were like, yeah, we're not that good. Also on a side note, I feel they messed up for not having a grudge match between Tobey's Spider-Man and the Goblin in the last Spider-Man movie. But I guess it was technically another guy's movie, so whatever. I guess fuck me, right? The best course of action is just to wait for Willem Dafoe to die, and then we'll never get another chance to do that. Like in the new Star Wars movies where Han, Luke, and Leia didn't share a scene together. And now they never will, so yeah. But speaking of Willem Dafoe, let's introduce the cast of this masterpiece. Let's start out strong with the Green Goblin himself, Willem Dafoe. I wasn't really familiar with his work up to that point, mainly because I was a child when this movie came out, and the closest to a children's movie he'd done up to that point was, Platoon. I'd say Platoon. Well, I definitely heard the name before. After seeing him in Spider-Man, I kept an eye out for him. And mostly, I'm glad I did.
Cuddle. What a fag.
Willem Dafoe is such a great actor that I truly believe he can pull off any role he put his mind to. But him playing the Green Goblin or Norman Osborn is perfect. Like, him as a villain, you can't do any better than that. I mean, I guess maybe, like, Heath Ledger. Okay, one guy. The fact it's been 25 years, and they still haven't found anyone to replace him as the Green Goblin, I mean, that kind of says it all.
You know how much I sacrificed?
Like, how many guys could do this role, and do it in a way where it wouldn't suck? Like, we're talking a handful of guys here, like, maybe Gary Oldman? But unlike Gary Oldman, Willem Dafoe has like a real sinister look. And also he pulled off Completely Indifferent Father very well too, so lucky Harry. But casting Dafoe was a home run on all fronts. Like I said, they still haven't replaced him after 25 years. Because they can't. Next, we have Harry Osborn, played by James Franco. Now in the comic, Harry is seen in more of a loser light, like Peter. And eventually he does make more popular friends, but it has more to do with his money and status than, well, him actually being cool. But in this version, he's played by handsome weirdo James Franco. And actually, it was a good choice. Say what you will about his personal life. But he is a talented actor, and he plays the out-of-touch Harry, who will eventually become a cuck perfectly. I kind of feel bad for him in a lot of ways. Peter not only stole his girlfriend, but Harry's father clearly wished that Peter was his son and not Harry. But when you find out your father and your girlfriend both prefer the same guy over you, it would be hard not to develop some issues over it. And I guess you could say Harry may have developed a little bit of a complex with Spider-Man. Yeah, because of Harry's super minor issues, he actually does want to kill Spider-Man throughout the majority of all 3 films. And it could have been awesome if the studios didn't fuck it up in the last one. But that's not the actor's fault. Next, we have her. The bummer of the Raimi trilogy, Mary Jane Watson. Played by the very talented actress, Kirsten Dunst.
For the I, it's Kirsten.
But unfortunately for her, just because she was a talented actress, didn't mean most people who watch this movie didn't fucking hate her guts. Mainly because she makes Peter and Harry put up with their bullshit for 3 fucking movies. And there's the other thing. In every movie, she can't seem to figure out who her boyfriend is. In the first one, it's Harry, but she's into Peter. In the next movie, she's fucking engaged to another man, but still in love with Peter. And in the third movie, she's with Peter, but basically treats him like shit. Then has a flirty time with Harry behind Peter's back because Peter's successful and well liked, while she has red hair and no one likes her face. She is such a terrible character. Like, for all I know, she's also fucking Norman. Maybe Aunt May too. She probably killed Uncle Ben, I don't fucking know. I don't know what she's capable of. I know she had a really shitty father, so like, who knows, but how's any of that Peter's problem? And seriously, based on her behavior in these movies, would you date her or want to marry her? Like, fuck no. Fuck no. That chick's for the streets.
If that happens, I'm gonna take out your check. Excuse me, Miss Watson. I'm talking to you. Hey!
Yes, Enrique, okay? I get you.
Well, you've been there.
Is that a resting bitch face you want to look at for the rest of your life? Tell me and be honest, would you? Would you really? And here we are. The man, the myth, the menace. Spider-Man, played by Tobey Maguire. Besides some questionable choices made by the movie studio in the third movie, I don't need to show the Dancing Spider-Man clip, do I? Guess I'm not going to show the fucking Dancing Spider-Man clip, you can go fuck yourself. Tobey played Spider-Man pretty much every way you want. He's funny, he's nerdy, he's homophobic.
That's a cute outfit. Did your husband give it to you?
And he's generally just a good kid. Sure, this version of Spider-Man is a little on the glum side, but in the comics that's pretty much a big part of who Peter is. That's basically his persona. I mean, his life is pretty shitty. He's got like 3 jobs, he's broke, he never gets laid, his aunt thinks he's beating his meat too much.
What's going on in there?
I'm exercising. I'm not dressed, Aunt May.
Well, you're acting so strangely, Peter.
Okay, thanks.
But really all of his strange behavior can be explained by the fact he's just out there saving people all the time. Like the fucking hero he is. Just like Dexter from TV's Dexter. Well, maybe not just like Dexter. I mean, even if Spider-Man was killing criminals, I don't think he'd be getting off on it the way that Dexter gets off on it. Which of course is super creepy and morbid. But that's kind of the catch-22 of Peter's life. If anyone actually knew what he was up to, they might actually think he had a dick. But they actually think he's just a lazy prick who doesn't give a shit about anyone else but himself. And for good reason. He's constantly late, blows off plans, his friends rarely see him, and he barely makes any time for his poor aunt.
Well, you're acting so strangely, Peter.
Okay, thanks.
But that's just how Peter rolls. Disappointing his friends and family is just what he does. Really, he can't walk away from not helping people. Except briefly in the second movie. But luckily for New York, Peter's uncle traumatized him so severely that he can't turn his back on his responsibilities ever. So yay for Peter's life.
Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
Also, there are a lot of other actors I could mention here, but I have a full-time job and editing videos takes forever. So fuck you all. So overall, this movie is a movie that can be enjoyed by anyone. It especially appeals to young people, because Peter's always been like a mirror for every generation of youths who've read the comic, especially if you're a teenage boy. Also, I'm now just realizing that Buffy the Vampire Slayer is essentially Spider-Man for girls. Right now I'm playing the Spider-Man 2018 video game, and it's not hard to tell that this is a Spider-Man for a whole new generation. It's actually fucking depressing. But don't worry, you young fucks, you'll get there too. And then you'll know. And then you will know. Besides the concept of a man with spider powers being an absolute winner.
The guy has the powers and strength of a spider.
The kinds of areas that concept opens up creatively for the big screen are pretty unlimited. And the fact that you feel like you're on a fucking roller coaster for most of the movies really appeals to me. And yes, it's true, most people who watched this movie who had pacemakers are dead now, because of Sam Raimi and Marvel Comics at large. But let's try to look at that as a positive. And besides, the acting is amazing in this movie. And honestly, at the time, that wasn't always something the comic book movies cared about. It wasn't even something that was considered a priority when making them. Luckily, Sam Raimi was a massive Spider-Man fan as a kid, and I suspect he'd been thinking about this movie for a long time. You know, while he wasn't getting laid in high school, while Bruce Campbell was getting laid in high school. But my final thoughts are, there was a time when superhero films were rare, and good superhero movies were like once a decade events. After Spider-Man, that all changed. And suddenly there were many superhero and comic book films, and a lot of them are actually pretty fucking good. But not all. And Spider-Man came around right when nerds and geeks were ready to go from the basement to, well, their basements. Yeah, they never left the basement. Just the internet happened and they could finally reach people outside their mom and the guys at the comic book store. So please, if you haven't watched this movie, get out there and watch Spider-Man, the first one that Sam Raimi directed. Man, there are a lot of these now. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And thank you.
Back to formula.